Hello friends, in this video we will be starting with our new topic called as wave shaping. Now wave shaping is a very important and vast concept as far as the signal processing is concerned, because it is part of signal processing where the signal waves have to be properly shaped before it is applied or before they are applied to the amplifier. Remember, it is the process of generating new waveform shapes from the original ones with the help of circuit network. That circuit network is called as pulse circuitry. Now in pulse circuitry there are different signals that we usually encounter. The first one is a sinusoidal signal that you know, then a step signal, then a square signal, a pulse, or I can say pulse, or we can say rectangular waveform, or I can say it is a ramp signal. So these are the usual signals that we in daily circuit designing we encounter with. So it is very important for a hardware engineer to understand if these signals are applied to any circuit, now how that circuit is going to respond and how the wave shapes are going to be changed. So that is what we cover under the topic called as wave shaping. So remember friends, wave shaping is the part of signal processing where the signal waves have to be properly shaped before they are applied to the amplifier. So we want, let us say we want a particular signal, so the input signal, which is a default signal available, now we will be converting it to the necessary signal or the suitable signal which can be applied to the amplifier. So now if I want to draw these signals, so it is very easy. Sinusoidal, you know the sinusoidal signal, okay. Then what is step signal? Step signal is nothing but the signal which continues with a constant value for the period of time, okay. This is the step signal. Then square signal, of course it's a kind of square wave. So voltage versus time, again it is voltage versus time, voltage versus time. So this voltage is going to be constant in step signal. So I will say this is a sine wave first, this is your step signal second, the third is square, then fourth is a rectangular pulse that I can draw. So rectangular pulse, I can draw it like this. So let's say it is the fourth one, and the last one is the ramp signal. So usual signals we have drawn. So this is your V input versus time. So this is a ramp signal. I will write it here, ramp signal. So when these particular signals are applied to any digital circuitry or pulse circuitry, now how that circuit is going to alter these waveforms, this is very important to understand, and this is what we will be covering in this particular video. Okay, now we have understood the meaning of wave shaping. So of course wave shaping is changing the waveforms. So these waveforms will be applied to any circuit, and of course how the circuit is going to respond to these particular signals, this is what we need to say. We need to see in the wave shaping. Okay, now in the process, remember there are certain points that we need to remember. In this process, output may vary in shape from the input. Okay, the output may vary in shape with respect to the input or as compared to the input side due to the influence of circuit elements, and this influence can be calculated by two parameters. The first parameter is called as a ratio of amplitude of output to input. This is one way or one measure by which we can find the difference between the input and the output waveforms, and the second one is the phase difference between these two. So whether the wave shape has or wave shaping has occurred or not can be measured by these two parameters. One is by taking the ratio of amplitude of output to input, and the second one is to find out the phase difference between the input and the output waveform, so that we can find that the wave shape has done or not. Okay, now remember this, such circuits find application in many many applications such as TV receivers or communication networks or radio transistor receivers, and of course coupling networks also. Now we have two types of wave shaping basically, so we can classify wave shaping into two categories, broad categories. The first category is called as a linear wave shaping, remember, and the second category is called as non-linear wave shaping. Now what is the meaning of this and what are the application of these two wave shaping types? That is what we need to see now. Now see this linear wave shaping. So linear wave shaping is the components with linear transfer characteristics like RLC are used to form the circuit. So the circuit where you are using linear components like resistor, capacitor and inductor, and if you are passing your signal through this particular circuit which has linear properties, the circuit will be called as linear wave shaping. And of course the application in this particular, so I can directly write, so the components that I will be using are RLC because they have linear characteristics. So if your signal is passed through the network which comprised of RLC, of course it is going to alter your signal. So if your signal get alters in the process, that is called as linear wave shaping, and the application of this is integrator, differentiator, adder, subtractor and so on. And if I am talking about non-linear wave shaping, so if your signal is passed through such a network which comprised of non-linear devices such as transistor, op-amp or a diode, that particular circuit will be called as non-linear wave shaping circuit. And the main application of these non-linear wave shaping circuits are clipper and clamper. These two applications will find. So in this particular series of videos that we will be making, we will be trying to cover these two wave shaping techniques, linear wave shaping as well as non-linear wave shaping techniques. Now let us start with linear wave shaping first. In linear wave shaping, of course I will be covering the two parts, integrator and differentiators, which are called as low pass circuit and high pass circuit, remember this. So integrator is also called as low pass circuit, differentiator is called as high pass circuit. So we will be covering these two types of circuits and we will be applying the signals that we have seen in the earlier slide to these particular circuits, and we'll try to find how the circuit behaves to those signals. Okay, now let us start with then the first type of wave shaping that we have covered now. That is what we will be talking about, and that is linear wave shaping. So I'm starting with linear wave shaping part, first part of wave shaping. So in linear wave shaping, of course, I have told you that we will be covering two important circuits. The first one is high pass circuit, the second one is low pass circuit. So let us start with high pass circuit first. So let us start with high pass circuit or filter. I will be referring it to HPC, high pass circuit, and it is also called as a differentiator. It is also called as differentiator. Now why it is called as differentiator, that we will see when we will be of course covering high pass circuit in details. Of course in the videos to come we will be covering this topic, why the high pass circuit is called as differentiator. In one of the videos that we have already uploaded, that is differentiator circuit using op-amp, we have of course talked about that, the cutoff frequency and all, but we will be of course covering it in this particular video also. Okay, so what is the high pass circuit? So high pass circuit, it is nothing but it is a network of passive elements which passes the high frequency components, which allows the high frequency component to pass through it, and it blocks the lower frequency components. Remember, there are two types of signals in electronics that we usually talk about, is the AC signal and the DC signal. So AC signal is the signal which contains frequency. So of course we can talk them, or we can classify them into higher frequency signals, and the signals which have low frequency or their frequency is zero, I can talk about the DC signals. Okay, so they can be classified under the category of DC signals. Now here high pass circuit is nothing but it is the network of those passive elements, that is RLC, which will pass the higher frequency components and it will block the lower frequency components. So I can say it will pass AC components and block the DC components. Okay, in terms of AC and DC if you want to talk. Okay. Now it is very easy to understand because it's high pass, so higher frequency range will be passed and the lower frequency range will be blocked. Now how the circuit will look like, this is what we need to talk about. So of course, because it is linear wave shaping circuit, so linear components or the passive components we need to use. So I am using a capacitor and a resistor across which the output will be taken. So that is what is the circuit is, see, simple circuit. So this is my input that I will be applying. This is capacitor, this is load resistance across which the output will be taken, and this is your V0 of t, that is output voltage. Now remember the input signals that we have seen in the first slide, that is sinusoidal wave, step signal, square signal, pulse signal or a ramp signal, are the input signals that we will be applying. And then these two components, which are called as passive components or linear components, these two components, of course, they will be altering the waveforms and therefore we will be getting the output across the resistance R. So this is a very simple circuit. Now in many electronic circuits, to couple the high frequency signal to the other stage, high pass circuit is used. So if you want to couple a high frequency, so you will block the lower frequency component and you will pass the higher frequencies, and this will be called as coupler. So this particular circuit acts as a high pass coupler which will couple the higher frequency to the other side. Remember this. Okay. Now remember one thing, if I consider this particular circuit, so we have a capacitance, and now this capacitance is called as blocking capacitance. Remember, this capacitance is called as blocking capacitor. Now if I take the capacitive reactance of this circuit, that is XC, and you know that the formula of XC is 1 upon 2 pi FC, 1 upon 2 pi frequency into the capacitance value. So here the frequency and the capacitive reactance, they are inversely proportional to each other. So from this particular expression I can write the capacitive reactance is inversely proportional to the frequency if I consider 1 upon 2 pi C constant. Okay. Meaning is, if the frequency is high, XC is going to be low, and if frequency is low, the XC is going to be high. So this concept I am going to use for my purpose of high passing the signals. Okay. Now how this is going to work, see this. When frequency increases, see, if frequency increases, the XC will be low, the capacitive reactance will be low, and it will behave as a short. So capacitance will act as a short and it will bypass all the frequencies to the output side or across the resistance, and therefore the output is going to be achieved with higher frequencies because now the capacitance is acting as short. Similarly, when the frequency is reduced, XC increases and it acts as open for the higher frequencies. And if the open circuit is there, so if capacitance is replaced by open circuit, now the higher frequencies will be blocked and only the lower frequencies are going to be passed. Remember this, that's why it is called as high pass circuit, because higher frequencies are passed, the frequencies are higher, so they will be bypassed, and if the frequencies are lower, they will be, of course, they will be blocked, and that's why this is called as high pass circuit. I have told you that the capacitor used for this purpose is called as blocking capacitor because it blocks the lower frequency components and allows the higher frequency component to pass through it. Now the frequency decreases, of course, if the frequency is 0, so the capacitive reactance will be infinity and the capacitor acts as an open circuit, and therefore the higher frequencies will not be now in a position to pass through the capacitance. Okay. Now remember this, before we start with the different signals that we want to apply to this, before that we need to find the transfer function of this circuit. Now how to find and why to find the transfer function, this is what is you need to understand. Remember, see, the transfer function is V0 upon Vi, or it is also called as gain. It is also called as gain, or it is also called as transfer function, H of S. So if I want to talk about H of S, so H of S will be V0 of S upon Vi of S. Now why it is important? Because see, I will be applying different signals to this particular circuit. Let me talk about sinusoidal signal. If I apply sinusoidal signal, I need to find what will be the output, how the circuit is going to alter the sine wave and how the output will look like. Of course, if you want to construct the output waveform, we need the expression for V0. So from here, if I want to rewrite the expression for V0, so V0 of S is going to be H of S multiplied by Vi of S. V0 of S is equal to H of S into Vi of S. So if I multiply the input waveform with the transfer function of any circuit, of course I can get the output waveform, right, or the expression for the output, so that I can sketch the output waveform. So if I am in a position to find the transfer function for any of the circuits, then I can multiply the input signal that I want to apply, and then I will be in a position to get the output waveform. So it is very easy. So let us try to calculate the transfer function of this particular circuit. So what will happen is, whenever we will be applying any signal, I will be multiplying this transfer signal with transfer function with the input signal, and I will be sketching the output waveform. So in general, we need to find the transfer function of the high pass circuit. So let us try to find it. Very easily we can get it. So for that purpose, what we need to do is we need to draw the Laplace equivalent of the circuit that we have drawn. So first of all, you remember the circuit that we have drawn. The circuit was very easy. The circuit was like this, but it was in time domain. So I want it to be in Laplace domain now. So let us say it is V0 of t, this R, this is C, and this is the input signal that you apply. Okay, now it's Laplace equivalent, so it is in time domain. Now I am drawing its Laplace equivalent, so its Laplace transform if I take. So again the circuit is going to be same, circuit doesn't change, but the values will change, of course. So now we cannot write Vi of t, we will write Vi of S. Okay, so capacitor will be 1 by Cs now. It is not 1, it is not C, it will be 1 by Cs. So the Laplace of capacitor is 1 by Cs, then R is R only, and it will be V0 of S. Okay, this is the circuit equivalent Laplace of the time domain circuits, so high pass circuits Laplace domain. So now if I am taking the taking the Laplace of the circuit, of course we get V0 of S is equal to, see here, R upon R plus 1 by Cs multiplied by Vi of S. Simple voltage divider rule if I apply, it is coming out to be R, because output that we take is across R, so it will be R upon the total resistance. So it is R plus 1 by Cs into Vi of S. Okay, so this is current, and of course you can find it like this, V0 of S. Now remember, if I divide numerator and denominator here, so what will be the next term? Next term will be V0 of S upon Vi of S, which is nothing but which is H of S, which is the transfer function. So I can write it as a transfer function. So transfer function, therefore transfer function H of S is equal to V0 of S upon Vi of S. So it will be R upon R plus 1 by Cs. Now if I if I divide numerator and denominator by R, see the equation will be V0 of S upon Vi of S, or H of S I can write. So it is going to be equal to, see what will be there? It will be 1 upon 1 plus 1 by RCS. Yes, right. Okay. Now what we will be doing, we will be multiplying numerator and denominator by S. If you want to take it, we will say it. Okay. So, or otherwise this is also okay for us. So remember, the transfer function of high pass circuit comes out to be 1 upon 1 plus 1 by RCS. 1 upon 1 plus 1 by RCS. This is nothing but this is the transfer function of high pass circuit. Now see here, what is V0? V0 is nothing but it is H of S, V0 of S of course. V0 of S is equal to H of S into Vi of S. So now what I will be doing, I know H of S part. Now I will be multiplying the different signals that we have seen in the first slide, that is sine wave, square wave, and rectangular wave, ramp wave. I will be of course taking its Laplace, and I will be multiplying it with the transfer function. This is what we have calculated, and therefore I can take the V0 of S, I will take the inverse Laplace transform, and I will be getting the V0 of t, so that I can construct the waveform between the output and the time. Okay, so it will be very easy for us to calculate now. So remember why we have calculated transfer function is because after getting the transfer function, the only task that remain is to multiply the input now to that transfer function, so that we can get the output waveform. Okay, now let us start with the sinusoidal input first, because sinusoidal is the first input that you know, or that is a general thing that we always consider. So our topic is going to be now the response of sine wave to high pass circuit. The response of sine wave to the high pass circuit. Okay, now it's very easy. Remember, now if I apply a sinusoidal wave, so let us say this is a sinusoidal wave that I am applying. So this is Vi of t and time t, and I will be applying it to the basic high pass circuit. So this is your R, this is V0 of t, this is C, and this is Vi of t. So you are applying a sinusoidal wave to the high pass circuit. Okay, now remember the shape of the waveform. On applying the sinusoidal wave to the input of this circuit, the output wave shape remains same, only it differs in amplitude and the phase angle depending on the frequency. So sinusoidal wave you will be getting as a sinusoidal wave only, but its amplitude and the phase difference is going to change depending on what frequency of sine wave you are applying to this circuit. But let us say then, if the amplitude is changing, our task is to find the gain of the amplifier, so that we can find how much output is going to be altered. So of course sinusoidal wave will remain as a sinusoidal wave, but the amplitude is going to change. So that is what is my task now, to find what is going to be the gain of the amplifier. Now see here, the gain of the amplifier A is nothing but it is V0 upon Vi. So I will write V0 of t upon Vi of t. Now if I apply the voltage divider rule to this particular circuit, now see what will happen. Therefore, the equation of V0 of t, if I apply the voltage divider rule, so voltage divider rule to the circuit, so I can get the V0 of t value. This value I need to calculate. So it is across R, so it is going to be R upon R minus, why I am writing minus, because I am taking now the JXC value multiplied by Vi of t. So I have taken the value of XC and then the imaginary, because it is an imaginary concept, so J is there. Okay, now let us just manipulate it. So Vi of t will be taken here because I want the gain. So V0 of t upon Vi of t, which is nothing but which is gain. So now the gain is going to be equal to R upon R minus JXC. Okay, now dividing numerator and denominator by R here. So what I will be writing is dividing numerator and denominator by R. See what will happen. So A is going to be 1 upon 1 minus JXC by R. But what is XC? Since XC is equal to 1 upon 2 pi FC, so I can put it here now. So therefore the gain formula is going to be 1 upon 1 minus J divided by 2 pi FC into R. See, this XC is replaced by 1 upon 2 pi RC. So 1 upon 2 pi RC. So this is the formula for the gain. So you can find that this is not coming out to be 0. It is not coming out to be 0, but we have some value for A. So by this times the input is going to be multiplied to the output. So we will be getting an amplified waveform, and of course we can find the phase angle also. So I can get the output is going to be kind of time and V0. So I will be getting a sinusoidal wave only, but the amplitude is going to be increased. Remember this. Okay, so this is the response of sinusoidal wave to the high pass circuit. So high pass circuit, if we apply sinusoidal wave to the high pass circuit, the waveform will be sinusoidal only, but its amplitude and the phase angle is going to be changed. This is what we need to remember. Okay, now let us apply the second input to it. The second input is step input. So let us apply the step input now. Okay, so I will try it second. A response of step input to high pass circuit. Okay, so what is the step input? Step input is nothing but it is the waveform which maintains its value same for the indefinite time period, or if I want to mathematically define it, I can say a step signal is the signal which has the value, let us say Vi is equal to V for t greater than equal to 0 and Vi is equal to 0 for t less than 0. So for every value where the time is less than 0, the input will be 0, and for, so I can say like this, so this is step. So I am just darkening it so that you can understand. See here, for 0 it has value V, and for the next every time period the value is V. It is maintaining the value constant, but if I go below t is equal to 0, so the input is going to be 0. Now the Laplace of unit step function. Unit step function means where this amplitude is 1. It is nothing but it is 1 by s. Okay, so if I take the input signal to be 1, its Laplace equivalent is 1 by s. Now here our input is V, so its equivalent Laplace will be V by s. See here, unit step function has the Laplace 1 by s, so of course a step function which is having amplitude V will be having the Laplace V by s. Now I have got it. Okay, now you know that a transfer function of high pass circuit is H of s is equal to V0 of s upon Vi of s is equal to, what is there? It is s upon, or I can say 1 upon 1 plus 1 by RCS. That is V0 of s is equal to 1 upon 1 plus 1 by RCS multiplied by Vi of s. That is 1 upon 1 plus 1 by RCS multiplied by V by s. Okay, now what this value is going to be? This value is going to be V upon s plus 1 by RC. If you multiply this, you'll find that it will come out to be V upon C. S is going to be multiplied by this, so S and S will be cancelled, so it is going to be V upon S plus 1 by RC. So if I take the Laplace inverse, so if I take the inverse Laplace transform, so right, taking inverse Laplace transform of this expression, so we'll find that the output is going to be now V0 of t, because I want to sketch the output waveform, so of course I want the waveform to be in time domain, so I am converting now Laplace expression to the time expression, so it will come out to be V into, now it is simple, e to the power minus t by RC, or I can write V into e to the power minus t by tau, where tau is nothing but it is RC, which is called as time constant. So either you can write it here RC, or you can replace it by tau. Tau is nothing but it is RC, which is called as time constant. So expression that we have got is V into e to the power minus t by RC. So of course this expression, it represents that the equation is exponentially decaying. See, at the initial stage the output is going to be equal to the input, and then it will be exponentially decaying. Okay, mathematically it is okay, but how to understand this? By concept. Okay, see this, the circuit to which we have applied this particular waveform is a high pass circuit like this, V0, R, C and Vi. Now see this, if I want to sketch the output waveform, You have applied the input waveform this, and now I am going to sketch the output waveform without thinking of this mathematical terms. Let us logically think now. You applied the input at, let us say, t is equal to 0. Now when t is equal to 0, what is your input waveform? The input waveform value is V. Remember this. See here, at t is equal to 0, the value of input is V. So this circuit will be applying a V voltage to the capacitance. Now the voltage across capacitance cannot change instantaneously. So the entire voltage will be available across R. See here, in this particular circuit, the input voltage VI is getting dropped into two parts. One is the voltage across capacitance and other is voltage across resistance. And the voltage across resistance is nothing but it is the output voltage, because you are taking the output across resistance. So VR and V0 is same. Now you applied V input at t is equal to 0. The input applied is V. Now the voltage across capacitance cannot change instantaneously, so its value is going to be 0, and therefore V0 will be equal to V. So at t is equal to 0, the output is going to be V, equal to the input voltage, because the voltage across capacitance cannot change instantaneously. Now the capacitance is going to charge. It is going to start charging, and if it is getting charged, let us say the input applied was V, and now it is getting charged. So if it is getting charged, it will not be 0 now, but it will be having some value. Let us say it is having value 1. So I will consider now the applied voltage was not V, but applied voltage was 5 for understanding purpose. Now initially at time t is equal to 0, the input is 5, so output is going to be 5. But now the capacitance has started charging. So 1 voltage, let us say it has charged with voltage 1, so remaining 4 will go to the output. Then it will be charged with 2 volts, the remaining 3 will go to the output. It is charged with 3 volts, now the remaining 2 will go to the output. It is charged now with 4 volts, the output is going to be 1, and it is fully charged with the 5 volts and the output is going to be 0. So you can see that the output is decaying, 4, 3, 2, 1 and 0. So it is started with 5 and then it exponentially decays and it will maintain the value like this. Okay. And now this logical thing has been justified by the expression that you have calculated for the output waveform, that is V into e to the power minus t by RC. That is the meaning that initially the output is going to be equal to the input voltage and then it will be exponentially decaying, e to the power minus t by RC. So if I want to draw the output waveform now, let me sketch the output waveform. So let me talk about this V, and this is your V0 of t and t. So it will start with your input value and then it will be decaying and it will reach like this, but it will not become 0. Why it will not become 0, I will tell you this. Okay, for that purpose I will be marking certain points on this graph. Remember, let me mark 60% of this. So I will write 0.6 60 times of the maximum V, so it will fall at 0.5 tau. So it is tau versus output voltage. Okay, then I will write it as 0.3 times, means 30 times of V. It will come out when it is equal to tau, and at, let us say, 5 tau you will be getting the saturation value. Okay, now what is the meaning of this graph? I want to tell you. See here, graph shows that at the time of start the whole input will be across the output, because capacitance will not be charging or discharging quickly. Okay, so remember this, what will happen is, so as soon as the capacitor gets now the capacitor starts charging, the output is going to decay. Okay, and what will happen is the time of charging of capacitor depends on the time constant, right? So at t is equal or tau is equal to 1, the output will decay to 30%, means 70% decay will occur when tau is equal to 1. And for 5 tau you will get that 90% of decay is occurred. So here we can say that it is going to be down and it is 90%, so 0.9 times the value of V. Okay, so it will happen at 5 tau. So, and after this what will happen is it will be in the saturation and steady state will be achieved. So it will not become zero, but it will remain at 90% decay, and it will follow the parallel line with the tau, and that particular thing or that particular point is called as steady state point. And after steady state point, further decay will be stopped. Remember this, further decay will be stopped. So it is very easy to understand here also that whatever input you will be applying, it will be appearing at the output initially, and once the capacitor starts charging, means VC gets increasing, the voltage resistance, the resistance voltage is going to be decreasing exponentially. That is, the output voltage is going to be decreasing exponentially. Okay, so this is